because just in the last hour, we got two reports. The first coming from Adam Schefter, who said, while Nate Scheelhaase and Jim Schwartz have been the primary focuses of the Browns head coaching search, Todd Monken is still a name square in the mix as well. The team has closely tracked him this entire search. He previously served as the team's OC in 2019, knows Cleveland well, and is a prime candidate. And then just before we went on the air, Mary Kay Cabot tweeted out, Browns are still working through their head coaching decision today, but everyone is still in it. DC Jim Schwartz, Ravens OC Todd Monken, Rams Nate Scheelhaase, and Commanders Anthony Lynn. A Monken-Schwartz pairing has been discussed, but Schwartz is a DC option with the others too. So thoughts on a Todd Monken-led regime here, Bull?
That's a total disaster. That's a total disaster. That is a complete embarrassment if that happens. G. Bush, who is the most positive, even just told you you have a hard time selling that. If you have a hard time selling that to G. Bush, I mean, listen. The only thing worse would be Todd Monken being the head coach, or Earl's boy Bubba Ventrone being the head coach.
I agree with you. I'm not a fan. But first of all, Earl, stop playing around. You gonna throw that in here like move on out. Bubba, don't you start them rumors,
guys. I'd rather have Anthony Lynn than I'd be more excited about Anthony Lynn than I would be Monken or Schwartz, because at least Anthony Lynn, I like that he's an offensive guy. I know Monken is, but at least Anthony Lynn, like in his first time around, he had a 500 record with the Chargers. It's not like he was a disaster.
I think the problem
amazing, and he's a little younger than Schwartz too. Not much younger, but I think
Monken and Schwartz, that seems like a no fun zone. Like, I think like they better win and win quickly, Tyvis. It just seems like for me, that's like it's like, you know, you go to your uncle's house and you getting babysat by your uncle, and one uncle's the cool uncle and the other uncle is the get off the couch, stop doing that. You ain't eating no sugar. What are you doing today? Like, I don't know how I feel about the Monken offensive coordinator game.
First of all, I'm shocked that because I thought Monken was going with Harbaugh to the Giants, so I'm shocked to even hear that as an option. But I think that the interesting thing about it all is we keep saying, again, listen to both of y'all talking. Both of y'all said that y'all want people that hold people accountable, leader of men, strict, blah, 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 hold all of that stuff. Well, technically, if you get Todd Monken and Jim Schwartz, that's exactly what you get. It's going to be very military style in there. And maybe that's what this young team needs. You know, they need guys to set the foundation and set them straight. I think with the young guy, like, it would work. You would probably have more fun at practice. And then people won't look at it like a job, like you would have fun coming to work, and which is very important. But I also felt I can't deny the fact that if it was Monken Schwartz, like maybe that's might be what they need. Like maybe that hold guys accountable, keep guys in line. It wouldn't be the sexiest hire at all. But I don't know. Maybe that's young. Maybe that's you know the roster. It's not like it's a lot of veterans out there. So you need a guy that can lead these guys the right way and show them the right way to do things and be kind of strict. And those two guys are the only two on that list that we know for sure will do that.
Is Anthony Lynn? What's his reputation in terms of that?
I'm not sure. You know what though? I want to say Cardale played for the Chargers.
Yeah, let's get him on there.
The coach, and he's got to come over my house later today. So
all right, ask him. By the way, you know Anthony Lynn was the last Chargers coach to win a playoff game.
Okay. See, I like Anthony Lynn. I would like him to be part of the staff in some way, shape, or form. Here's the thing about Todd Monken. Does the situation? There's two things alarm you about him. Does it alarm you about some of the things you heard from the Baltimore Ravens players in the locker room in terms of they didn't like playing for him? And is it also alarming that we thought that Monken would be going to the Giants in order to be, stay with Harbaugh, because Harbaugh was on record saying he didn't want to fire him for the Ravens. And
he still wants him as his OC, but Monken said, I'm not going to take the job until I figure out if I'm going to be the Cleveland Browns head coach.
Okay,
so there's a chance he ends up in New York. The Giants have not hired an OC.
Okay,
so
now we don't even need we be good, because that means if he don't get the head coaching job, he ain't gonna be coordinator. He's just gonna just take the job with the Giants. Okay, go ahead.
So the funny part about it all is that, like you just said, like Ravens players didn't like him because what was the reason?
I haven't dug into it too crazy. There were just rumblings that with the Ravens, players didn't see eye to eye with the way the playbook or some of the philosophies.
It's funny you say that, because for outside of this season, he's been there 3 years, right? The other 2 years, they've been unbelievable on offense. That's that's the part that makes me laugh. Like you might not have fun at all because he's very strict and by the book. But it works. On Sunday, you win in games because of it. Same thing with Jim
Lamar
Schwartz.
won an MVP under his tutelage.
That's what I'm saying. Like, same thing with Jim Schwartz. I don't know how fun Jim Schwartz actually is. If you go to practice, he be cussing people out at practice. So, like, I don't know how much fun it is, but you see the results on Sunday. So it's like, maybe that's what this roster needs, is somebody like that. It might not necessarily be fun, but you getting the results on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Sometimes you need somebody to come in and be one of them dudes that change it a little bit. I like a little bit of a mix. I like good cop, bad cop. Sometimes I play the good cop all the time. I just let my wife play the bad cop. So I like that role. Keep people honest, right, and keep people guessing. But you know what? Like we said before, whoever come in here, I know fans could be disappointed. Whoever comes in here, whoever they decide to choose, there's one thing that when you want a coach to be moved on, and everybody said they wanted, well, not everybody, but there were people that were vocal about moving on from Kevin Stefanski. If you were vocal about that, you at least have to give the opportunity to the new person to prove what they can do and how they can move, because you said you want to change. It takes time for change to take hold. And they made the move, so you got to give whoever they hire the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, to see what they're going to bring to the table.
By the way, guys, I'm continuing to talk myself into Anthony Lynn here if they don't get Nate Shieldhouse. Couple of things that have me intrigued about Anthony Lynn. First of all, he was a head coach once before, which I do kind of like, especially because he had some level of success. He won a playoff game with a franchise that hasn't won many. In fact, the Chargers, he has their only playoff win in the last 12 years. Number two, he was an undrafted free agent, a.k.a. Tyvis Powell, who made it into the league and played in the league for a little while. And there's something to be said for guys like Tyvis and Anthony Lynn, who had to fight and claw for everything he got. And he's been with a lot of different organizations. He worked for Bill Parcells, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football. Bill Parcells hired him as the running backs coach when he was in Dallas. He's been with good organizations, and he's been with some really bad organizations. So he's used to, he's been with the Niners, but he's also been with the Browns before, the Jets, the Lions, before they got good, Jacksonville. He's been with disasters before. So he even though he wasn't a head coach with those organizations, he has some feel for what it's like to be with an organization that struggles. He's older, but not too old, obviously. And he seems like the type of coach that I'm guessing would be an overseer, and he'd hire play callers offensively and defensively, which I kind of like. I've changed my mind on that over the years. So who knows? It's easy to just say, "Oh, they just brought him in, the Rooney Rule." I think that's unfair to just assume that, because they could have brought in anybody essentially for the Rooney Rule, and maybe he's not a legit candidate. I don't know, but he's kind of growing on me as a possibility.
That's because he fits you wanted a guy who was a head coach before, that's had time to learn about the things that he didn't do. Where did he go after the Chargers?
He was with the Commanders last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So what, running backs coach?
So he was after the Chargers. He was 1 year with the Lions as offensive coordinator in 21, and he got fired after 1 year.
Dan Campbell was hired in 22, correct?
Right. So,
okay. Well, then
new coaching staff. He was assistant head coach / running backs coach with the Niners, 22 and 23. And then last year he was running game coordinator / running backs coach with the Commanders.
I mean, I like the fact that I don't know who was the coach at the Lions, but I like the fact that he spent the year under Shanahan in 22. I don't remember what the record was, but obviously Kyle has had a ton of success there. So he was able to learn like how he ran certain things and, been able to contrast how he did things with the Chargers. I mean, having 3 different stops, he's seen 3 different ways. Who was the dang Lions coach before Dan Campbell?
Matt Patricia.
Oh, yeah, he was terrible.
He was with Matt Patricia?
Yeah.
So he got to learn how not to do certain things with Matt Patricia. He got some success with San Fran and Dan Quinn with the Commanders.
So he won a game. Man, let me think about it. I remember. So the last time I think the Chargers won a playoff game, was it against Tyrod Taylor and the Bills? I think they was playing
against the Ravens. He beat the Ravens in 2018.
It was Lamar's first playoff game, and then they played they played dime the entire time. I actually remember that game. Now that you mentioned, I remember that game. They played dime the entire time, so they had speed on the field because Lamar wasn't really much of a passer at that point. That was when they took over midway through the season,
and then they lost to Brady in the next round to Tom Brady and Belichick. I
remember. To me, at this point, like, okay, you down. If they don't get Shieldhouse, I think the foregone conclusion is that Jim Schwartz is going to be the head coach. And then, to me, the most important decision with Jim Schwartz is to me, the Jim Schwartz thing is kind of safe. It's a move that kind of just keeps you par for the course. The thing that is going to be the most important after that hire is the offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, to be truthful, whoever they hired as offensive coordinator might be just as important as the head coach. I know what Jim Schwartz is going to do. I know what he runs defensively. I know what the players think about him. The question is, what do you have and what evolution do you have offensively? Because that's where the heavy lifting needs to be had. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the name. Now, they might have to reshuffle them names, McNuggets, because if it's going to get a coordinator and paying them more money and being like, hey, we'll give you the assistant head coach job or whatever to lure them in, they're going to have to get creative on that because that's the most important to me.
For sure. And I think there's a few names still out there that if for whatever reason Shieldhouse goes somewhere else and they don't go with Schwartz or Monken or Lynn, like Clint Kubiak was a guy that was brought in as an offensive coordinator candidate last year. He did not at least take this job in part because he wanted to call plays and Kevin Stefanski wanted to call plays. We talked about it yesterday. I thought what he drew up against LA in the NFC Championship.
Frozen.
Oh, Mike froze. Hey, by the way, one other thing I just found on Anthony Lynn, guys. I didn't realize that because I think he only played on special teams, but he was, those Broncos teams that won back-to-back Super Bowls in, what was it? I think the 97 and 98 seasons. He was on those teams. Earl jumped in. Right. Yeah, Anthony Lynn was probably like the 3rd string running back. He's listed as a running back on those 2 Super Bowl teams. He played in both those Super Bowls. He didn't have any stats, so I'm assuming he just played special teams or whatever.
So he won a Super Bowl?
He's got 2 Super Bowl rings with the Broncos.
Well, that's
all right.
It's a lot to be said for a guy who, had a chance to be a head coach.
Yeah.
Got fired and bounced to 3 different organizations. You've seen 3 different styles of how to run something. You got a pretty good opinion of what you need to do. You could take something from each different thing. You've seen what worked there, what didn't work there, the success it had long term.
Guys,
it wouldn't be terrible.
Let me cut you off. I apologize, but we have breaking news. Breaking news from the NFL. According to Adam Schefter, the Bills are working to finalize a deal to make offensive coordinator Joe Brady their new head coach.
What?
Joe Brady, who was the offensive coordinator of the Bills, is their new head coach. So Nate Shieldhouse is not going to Buffalo. That's just breaking. Ian Rappaport had it. Schefter had it just in the last minute or two. Joe Brady is the new head coach, or it's not. I don't know if it's official yet, but they're finalizing a deal. So
would that make How would you feel if they didn't get Shieldhouse? Would that mean they get Dayball as an OC?
If you're
the Browns,
I mean, I'd be fine with Dayball as the OC. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. How about you, Earl? We haven't heard from you yet. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How y'all feel?
Good, man. What do you think about Brian Dayball potentially? I mean, I wonder if the Browns would talk to him as a head coach. I guess they could have already, but
yeah, they could have.
What do you think about the idea of Dayball as the OC?
Like with a Jim Schwartz pairing, or just
or whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cool with it. I think Dayball is very creative. I think Dayball is better served as an offensive coordinator, in my opinion, than carry on the responsibilities overall as a head coach. I just think he was stronger in that role. I thought, being a head coach of the Giants, man, it was so much that kind of got away from him. And, when you got to focus on two other units outside of the offense and you can't really trust the guys that you put in position to kind of maintain things. Like the Giants had a situation last year. I think they blew a 30-point lead, something like that, against Denver or something like that. So, for me, Dayball as an offensive coordinator is more appealing than Dayball as a head coach. That's just me, though.
Yeah. Diana Rossini, by the way, guys, just said they're looking. Oh, no. I'm sorry. She was mentioning Dayball and Lynn. I thought she was talking about them potentially as OCs for Buffalo, but she was saying that they were finalists.
Y'all don't think it's why or odd that Shieldhouse went to interview and right after that, boom, nope, Joe Brady's our guy. So maybe he ain't nice.
Well, not just Shieldhouse, Udinski as well.
I mean, they interviewed him because he interviewed today, right?
Last night.
And they woke up banging like that. He ain't the answer. We good.
You know who woke up like that? Josh Allen woke up and said they went like that. That's exactly what happened. Because he like, listen, I ain't trying to. He has an affinity for the offensive coordinator because he called a game that he want to call and he like it, and so he like, look, man, I'm at this point. I ain't trying to be out here messing around with figuring out what a new coordinator want to do and run. Let's roll with this. Obviously, you saw how the owner be talking. So the owner is quite impressionable, in my opinion. And Josh hit him up like, hey, bro, I heard what he was saying. I don't know if I'm cool with this.
Didn't he just finish the second interview with like the Raiders or something like that?
Who, Joe Brady?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
so,
that was reported.
So maybe it was a situation to where he was close to taking that job, and like G said, Josh Allen stepped in and was like, "Hold up, hold my phone. We can't have that."
But Josh Allen was terrible in that playoff game.
Yeah,
but Josh Allen's telling you that was on him. He can't throw the ball backwards, Tyvis.
I don't know how I feel about that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I mean, if you're the Buffalo Bills, if you're a Bills fan, again, we'll flip it back on his heads. If you're the Buffalo Bills, like if you're the fans, you're saying, hold on. So you meaning to tell me we got rid of McDermott?
Yeah.
To get the guy, like the offensive coordinator. Like, so like the same way we saying with Jim Schwartz when Bull was saying, hey, but at this point, you got to look at if Josh Allen goes in the room and says, listen, I don't care what none of y'all talking about. Yeah, them turnovers was on me. I got to play better, but this is the guy I'm comfortable with, and that's what I'm rolling with. That's what they're going to do.
We'll see if it's a good choice or not, but this is who they're taking, the Bills, you got to imagine any coach would wanted this job. So this is obviously their first choice, and you may be right. Like clearly Josh Allen had some say in there. Which I get it if it's a franchise quarterback. Ultimately, I would not want any players, no matter who the quarterback is, to be determining who the coach is. But the reality is that the superstar quarterbacks will have a say in that. I think part of the reason everybody says the Bengals haven't fired Zach Taylor because he's getting paid and the Bengals are cheap, and that's part of it. But I've heard that Joe Burrow likes Zach Taylor for whatever reason. So I think that's also a big part of it. So the franchise quarterbacks make a difference in these situations because I don't think anybody would have thought Joe Brady was the first choice. However, obviously, as Earl said, there were other teams interested in Joe Brady. The Raiders did a second interview with him. But from a Browns perspective, guys, this gets us down. Now there's just 3 teams need a coach. And at this point, I'd say all 3 jobs are probably equal. Now, the Raiders have a clearer path to a clear starting quarterback. But if you're a coach and you don't like Fernando Mendoza, then I guess all 3 are the same. The Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns all have bad reputations as being poorly run and poorly owned. So I think at least now the Browns are on equal footing. If they want Nate Shieldhouse at this point, they should be able to get him, unless Nate Shieldhouse just says, "I'll stick with the Rams and I'll take an opportunity next year."
If he says that again, Andrew Berry should be fired.
I'm about to jump out. Let Mike jump back in real quick though, because I heard the conversation about Schwartz. I sent Tyvis a message. Schwartz definitely wasn't their first choice, man. The Browns are treating Jim Schwartz. You know how, like, if you got a lot of women, a lot of different options, you got that smooth 7 over here, you know what I mean? But you think you could get you a 10. The Browns is moving like they could get them a 10 and realizing, man, like they playing outside their league. So now they trying to go back to that strong 7. They just better hope that strong 7 don't catch somebody else's eye.
Earl, before you go, do you want to make a case for Bubba Ventrone as the head coach?
Oh, no, listen, I'm telling y'all, the Browns bought the Browns, and then I'm telling y'all, we're going to wake up and they're going to be like, breaking news. The Browns then hired Bubba Ventrone as the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I do think it's kind of ironic, though. You know, we'll talk about this later in the show, that we get news that Jim Schwartz isn't running, and then we see a mock draft with the Browns taking a defensive player at 6. I'm out of here.